Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
We are starting Sefer Bamidbar. And when we're starting Sefer Bamidbar, one of the interesting points is that we end the last Sefer Vayikra we finished in Midbar Sinai. As it's written there, let me open it. Where is it? One. Okay. Parashat Bechukotai is finished in the pasuk that tells us, אלה המצוות אשר ציווה השם את משה אל בני ישראל בהר סיני. Those are the mitzvot that Kodesh Baruch Hu ordered us to do to the children of Israel on the Mount of Sinai. And our parasha starts, which is the starting of the whole book of Bamidbar, וידבר השם אל משה במדבר סיני, in the desert of Sinai. Is there any connection between Sinai and Sinai? Why is it mentioned twice? So we all know that, as we talked about it last week, that all the mitzvahs, all of them, all the oral Torah, everything was given to us from the Mount of Sinai. In other words, everything is from God. Not only the written Torah, but also the oral Torah. And the mentioning is, again, it was given to us on the Mount of Sinai. And here, the Torah starts in the desert of Sinai. And there is a midrash that says that the Torah was given to us with three things: fire, water, and desert. And there are a lot of explanations about what is the meaning of fire, desert, and water. And I'm not going to go into the psukim. We're going to try and understand the idea behind it, which is going to make us maybe move and do something. So fire is the fire that everybody needs in order to do things. The excitement, you have to be enthusiastic to do things. You have the fire burning, and this fire has to be burning to you to do the mitzvahs, to keep the Torah. Now, unfortunately, sometimes this desire, this fire goes to the wrong place, to the lust, to your physical desires, what you want. And in this case, you have to turn it off. How do you turn off fire? With water. And what is water? Water is Torah. Water is the acid of life. Without water, there is nothing. And everybody knows that the Torah is mentioned as water. Water is Torah, Torah is water. Oy kol tzameh lechu lamayim. Everybody who is thirsty, go to the water. What's the meaning? Go to the water of the Torah. So we have the fire that has to, let's say, burn in the right way, which is keeping the Torah, which is water. And the same water, if the fire goes in the wrong way, the same water is going to turn off the fire. It's like it said, Barati, says God, Barati Yetzer Hara, I created the bad inclination, the Yetzer Hara, Barati lo Torah Tavlin, and I gave the cure, which is the Torah. In other words, in order to turn off the Yetzer Hara, the fire of Yetzer Hara, there is one way of doing it, and only one way, the Torah. Go to the Torah, and then you can turn off the fire. Torah is water, beautiful. And what is the desert? The desert is a place where there is nothing. In other words, there are no desires. There is nothing there. But there is something that in the desert you desire more than anything, even though there are no other things there. Water. Again, water. As we said, water is the Torah. So here we have the unbelievable, beautiful idea of getting the Torah with fire of excitement, with the water of the Torah, and in the desert, which there the only thing you want is water, the Torah. But the desert is also something else. The desert is a place where you see the Almighty, where you see that you are nothing, you're so small in front of the creation. As I always say, when you go on Kvish Arava, when you go on the desert road to Elat, and stop on the way, and park the car in one of the parking spots, and walk to the right side, of course, and not to the left side, you can get to Jordan. Walk to the right side for 500 meters. You find yourself in the middle of the desert, nothing. Big mountains you see in front of you, on the right side, maybe also the left side, and you feel like this, nothing. You feel the greatness of the Creator that created all those things. And from this point, you can get the Torah. And where is Kodesh Baruch Hu giving us the Torah? On the Mount of Sinai, which is the lowest mountain in the desert of Sinai, in order to teach us that from the greatness of creation, you receive the Torah only from humbleness, only if you can put yourself down and understand that you are nothing in front of the creation. So this is what connects the whole thing together, the idea of understanding that the fire, if it goes in the wrong way, you turn it off with the water. What is the water? The Torah. And this fire, the same fire, if it goes in the right way, it goes with the water, which is the Torah. And where? In the desert. The desert also belongs to nobody. The fire belongs to nobody. The water belongs to nobody. It's free for everybody. And this is also the Torah. It's waiting for everybody. Everybody can take it. And we are now a few days before Matan Torah. Only in a few days we're going to receive the Torah. And that's what we have to understand and realize what it's all about. This morning I took I gave a let's say a small lesson about a part that we see in the Ten Chelkeinu, a book that every day has got something else, like a small part of Mishnah, Gemara, and Halacha. And the part of today was very interesting. In our Parsha is written not once, 3 times, is written in our Parsha, V'hazar akarev yumat. The Zar, the strange one, the foreigner, or the one who is not supposed to be there, if he gets close to the holiness, to the Kodesh HaKodashim, for example, he is going to die. And why 3 times? And then they had guards, special guards from the Leviim that made sure that nobody is going to get where he's not allowed to go. And the question is, 1 minute, what is the Mishkan? What is so big? And everybody knew exactly where you is allowed to go and where is not allowed to go. So why do you need guards? What is somebody going to commit suicide and go in to the place where he's not allowed to be and is going to be killed? No, who is going to do a thing like this? It's not logical. Why do you need guards? But that brings us to Yaakov Avinu. When Yaakov Avinu bought the Bechorah from the birthright from Esau, what was the whole idea? Why Esau sold it like for nothing? Because Yaakov explained to him what is the meaning of the Bechorah, of his birthright. What's the meaning of being holy? What's the meaning of worshiping God? Because this is your job. You are going to be a Kohen in the Bet HaMikdash. And if a Kohen does a small mistake, sometimes it's dead. So Esau says, well, I don't want it. Who wants it? Who wants all those obligations, all those you're not allowed to do, not allowed to do? But Yaakov, he wanted it. And this is exactly the point. Am Israel, we see the two sons of Aaron HaKohen that are also mentioned in our Parsha. They died, but when they got too close to God. And one of the explanation is that they were holy people and they wanted to get holier. So they did something in order to get so close to God that God had to take them. They died. In other words, the desire to get close to God, to get close to holiness, can make somebody do things he's not allowed to do. And what's the meaning of it? It's the joy. It's the joy that they've got from the holiness, from the spirituality. It's very hard for us to understand. But imagine to yourself today, somebody who is diabetic is not allowed to, and he sees this beautiful cake, goes to this party, and there's this unbelievable cake, and he wants to eat it. So how many times it happens that though he knows that this is dangerous for him, he's still eating a piece of the cake? And those who smoke, it's written on the cigarette, it's dangerous, it causes death. And still people smoke. So why do you eat what you're not allowed to eat? It's going to make you chas v'sholom, who knows what? Because it's tasty. The ta'im. So this is exactly on the spiritual side. Am Israel were at that level in the desert that they were so desiring the Torah and the spirituality. It was so tasty for them that they didn't care. So they had to put God for them not to get closer to where they're not allowed to be. And what with our heart today? What do we feel today? Is our desire for the Torah? You're going to get the Torah in a few days? Do we desire this to the point that we don't care what's going to happen? We want holiness. We want spirituality. Maybe it's time to take the water in the heart that are frozen and hit them up with a fire, that the Torah will start flowing and they will understand the joy of learning the Torah. Or Chaim HaKadosh says, if we would understand the Torah, we will start dancing from joy. This is a huge lesson for us. And this also gets together with how do we receive the Torah? With desire, fire, with water, that's the Torah, and in the desert, where there is only one thing that you desire, which is the Torah. And then the Torah tells us about another important point when we are preparing ourselves, the last days for Matan Torah. Ma'amad Har Sinai. Says the Torah, Ish al diglo be'otot lebet avotam yachanu bnei Yisrael mineged saviv lo'oel moed yachanu. Everyone with his own flag to the house of his fathers will the children of Israel park in front and around Oel Moed, the tent of the Torah. What's the meaning? How many flags were there? We know there were like 4 camps with 4 flags. Then we know, okay, also the tribes had flags. So there were 12 flags. And now, what's the meaning? Ishal Biglo, each one on his degel, on his flag. So maybe the flag we're talking about is the flag of the camp, is the flag of the tribe. But so, what is Ish? Why is it? And that exactly brings us to Sfirat HaOmer. We think sometimes that we have to be the same. No, we have to be together, but each one of us with his own talents, with his own abilities. God doesn't want us to lose ourselves. He wants to use what we've got, but for the others, not for us. And this is Ishal Diglo. From the other side, we sometimes think that we are right. We are on the right, the other one is mistaken. And we want to force him to do what we want. So the Torah tells us each one has the right for his own opinion, as long as we all around the Torah. This is why in Shul you have 12 windows against the 12 tribes. This is why Yaakov is blessing each one of the tribes in a different blessing. And the same Moshe Rabbeinu is doing. To tell us that yes, this is the unbelievable togetherness of Am Yisrael. To be united together, to become one. But you become one not when you lose your own personality, when you lose your own identity. On the contrary, that's the beauty. You know, some things like in food, if you don't mix together all the ingredients, it's not tasty. But if you mix all the ingredients together, then you have a salad. The same way with the Ktoret, the essence, that there was a mixture that brought this beautiful smell. And that's in life also. Imagine to yourself that the Ramatkal, the chief of the army, the chief of the forces, is going to come one day and says, you know what? We have Air Force, we have Chel Hayam, we have Modi'in, intelligence, we have the Totchanim, we have the tanks, we have let's combine everything to have a general unit, Chayil Klali, army with one force. It sounds good. Everybody's going to laugh and going to fire this general, this chief general, because you are stupid. It's impossible. Everybody has to have special training in order to make his job. So the intelligent, they need different training from the sea force and from the air force or from the commando, the special units. Everybody needs different training and have different tools. And not only this way you can be an army. Imagine to yourself, if you have one unit in the army, who is going to defend us from the air? Who is going to defend us from the sea? Who is going to tell us the secrets of the enemy? Who is going to bomb? Who is going to fight? You all understand that we need different units, but it's one army. We are the army of God. And yes, each one of us got a different talent, different ability. And by the way, also the jobnik, what we call, the guy that sits and the cook in the kitchen in the army, we need food. And the one who prepares the clothes. And the one who sits in the office. We need all of them, because without them, there is no army. The army cannot function. So we need each one of us in his own job. And this is Ishal Diglo. And this is Firat HaOmer. That's counting the Omer. The whole idea of the Omer is that we prepare ourselves as individuals, but don't forget, individuals as a part of the whole nation. Because we have to get to Ma'amad al-Sinai, to the mountain of Sinai to receive the Torah, Ke'ish echad belev echad, like one. And this is something we have to realize, understand. Sometimes we forget why we are here in this world. And we don't understand and realize. Unfortunately, we had the corona. We still, Baruch Hashem, the first country in the world getting out of it. But then we have our enemies. Then we have the disaster in Meron. And sometimes you think, what's happening? It's very simple. I don't know why and what and how. But one thing I understand, if God brings on us those things, he wants us to think, what are we doing wrong? Each one of us. Where is the place to make things better? As I told you last week, I think, I did the Shiva Besuch, Shiva call, and one of our friends that his son-in-law unfortunately died in Meron. And he is davening with us the whole year in the Corona meeting we've got outside in our street. And his son-in-law, once in a while, also was a part of our minyan. A nice young fellow, married to his daughter, 3 little girls. So we went to Nichum Avelim, to Shiva Kol, in Givat Shmuel. And then we saw so many good things happening. He told us, David, the father-in-law, you don't understand. Rami Levi sent a whole carriages of food. The Makolet man came with a trolley with 20 bottles of milk. And he said, whatever you need, just take. A restaurant phoned them and says, because everything was happening before Shabbos, was telling them, whatever you need, we have food prepared for Shabbos for everybody. They had 60 family members from Dimona. Where are they going to sleep? Before Shabbos. So 10 families left their homes in Givat Shmuel in the neighborhood and went to their families to stay in order for those 60 family members of the Aveli could sleep there on Shabbos. Boxes and boxes coming all the time. Unbelievable. And everybody came to do a shiva call. Ministers, the chief rabbi, Rav Lau, who knows? And I was saying to myself, why do we need a disaster in order to see the beauty of Am Yisrael? In order to see the Keish Echad Belev Echad, that we are one. Why do we need it? And when did it happen? Right before Matan Torah, for us to learn the lesson. But then, there is something that I will never forget. One of the ministers that came there, and he was sitting with a mother, Nichum Avelim. And the mother told him, my son was a tzaddik. He loved everybody. He was nice to everybody. And I must tell you, you look at the picture, you look at his face, you see kindness. And then she told him, if you want to do Nichum Avelim, if you want to comfort us and honor the death of Meron, stop with all the hatred. Stop with the Sinat Chinam. Go back to the Knesset and start with Ahavat Chinam. This is a comfort for the dead. This is Leilui Neshama. This is Nichum Avelim. And how true it is. We look at people and we judge them because they are not exactly like us. So the Torah tells us, Ish al diglo. Ashkenazim, Sfaradim, everybody's got his own minhagim. And the beauty of Am Yisrael is when everybody stays in his own minhag. And all of us together pray to God. Misaviv lo Ohel Moed, around Ohel Moed, around the Torah. There is a famous story that Rav Yitzchak Zilberstein, I think, brings it for years ago. There were two rabbis in Tveria, one Ashkenazi rabbi and the other one a Sephardi rabbi. Rav Zarian, I think, was the Sephardi and the Rav Klius was Ashkenazi. And one happened that the Rav Zarian said something on Eruv, and when the Rav Klius, the Ashkenazi rabbi, heard about it, he understood it was a mistake. So what do you think he did? Did he put in the press? Did he put pashkavilim and announcement all over town that the Sephardi Rab was wrong? What he said? No. He called the Rav Zarian, Zecher Tzadik Livracha, and asked him, I want to sit and learn with you Eruvin. They sat together and learned, and while they were learning, the Rav Zarian understood he did a mistake. So he said to the Rav Klius, why didn't you tell me I did a mistake? Why didn't you announce about it? Why didn't you tell everybody I did a mistake? It's wrong what I said. You know what his answer was? His answer was, to honor a Talmid Chacham, ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha, it's a mitzvah deoraita from the Torah. But Eruvin is a mitzvah derabanan. How much do we have to learn from this? We see somebody does something wrong. Hey, what did you do? Is this the way? Is this ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha? Is this Keish Echad Belev Echad? Is this getting to the Mount of Sinai to receive the Torah in a proper way? There is only one way. We have to start, each one of us, to love each other, even though he's got different ideas. One of the beautiful things I'm writing about it on this Shabbos, that was happening with this Nichum Avelim, that a lot of Chilonim came to do Nichum Avelim. And to come to those, most of them are ultra-Orthodox, Haredi. And some of them came without a kippah. A teacher from a not religious school, Mamlachti, Chiloni, took all students in the high school, all the Talmidim, she took them to, I think, 4 or 5 places to do Nichum Avelim. And she put even something on her that she's going to look proper. And he told also the students to do that same thing. A guy, it was even a gay guy, he bought 2 cakes and he went to Bnei Barak to do Nichum Avelim. 2 cakes he bought, the Echsher Abadat. He didn't even know if it's right or wrong. But you know what? What they were saying is that they were amazed how the Avelim, the mourners, they hugged them and loved them coming to them. One of them says, you put together what was broken when I saw Am Yisrael, you come to me. Some place they were talking Yiddish. The minute that one of those people came in, they stopped talking Yiddish and started talking Hebrew. And they were welcoming every place they came to do Nichum Avelim. This is Am Yisrael. But again, I'm saying, why do we have to get to this point when we have problems? When there is disasters? Why can't we do it in peacetime? And maybe when we change ourselves, each one of us a little, God will stop the corona. God will stop our enemies from bombing us. God will stop everything wrong that is happening and bring peace to us and to the whole world. Because our job is not only for us, it's for the whole world. כי מציון תצא תורה ודבר השם בירושלים. What's the meaning מציון תצא תורה? For all over the world. We are the messengers. We have a mission. But it has to start from us. We have to start to love each other. And again, I'm saying, God doesn't want to lose our identity. God wants us to use our personal identity, our individuality, but not for us, for everybody. This is Sfirat HaOmer. Like I wrote a few years ago, what is mine, and what is yours. And I cannot touch in what is yours, and you cannot touch in what is mine. So there is no reason to be jealous in you, and you haven't got a reason to jealous in me. And on top of this, we're all parts of the whole, and we all are needed in order to complete the picture. So I need you, and you need me. And Mimele, if I love myself, I am loving you. I want to finish with a story that happened to me a few years. I think I told it to you. I was standing in a supermarket in one of the air of Yom Tov, like everything is crowded, everybody with big wagons, with big agalot, full with groceries and whatever. And I was looking for a short line, and I found a very short line. Unfortunately, I found later that this line was going so slowly. And I had 2 people in front of me. One, this was on the cashier. She had a full agala, full wagon, full. And the problem is that she had to put it to the cashier, and the cashier had to put it on the other side, and then she had to put it in bags and again in the agala, because otherwise she couldn't put more. So it was getting very, very slow. So there was another woman with a girl in front of me, and she said something in the ear of the girl, and the girl suddenly went to the other side of the counter, and she started helping, like putting all the grocery, all the things in bags and put them in the wagon, in the agala. And then the mother was helping taking the things out, and it was starting running. I said, wow, this is unbelievable. This is V'ahavta L'Recha Kamocha. And then I thought, 1 minute, is this V'ahavta L'Recha Kamocha? Who is she helping? Is she helping the lady in front of her, or in the end of the day, she is really helping herself. Because if she wouldn't help the lady in front of her, she will stand there for another hour. This is the way we have to look at things. When we help each other, we are helping ourselves. Because we are all a part of one. And maybe when we think like this and understand and realize that when we love each other, when we love the other, when we help the other, even if it's got different opinion, even if it's a little different from us, then we are really helping ourselves. And we are becoming one. And when we understand it, maybe things will look different. So I wish you all Shabbat Shalom, a guten Woche, a Git Shabbos, how we say, and Chodesh Tov, a good month, because today is the Chodesh, Rosh Chodesh Sivan tonight. And of course, let's prepare ourselves to Matan Torah and be ready as one to receive the Torah. All the best.